Wall Street meets the cloud with Workiva. The NYSE-listed company provides services to streamline financial reporting, sustainability, and risk management. They say they serve 85% of the Fortune 1000, and they recently released two surveys that reveal more about the industry's attitudes toward AI. Joining me now is Workiva's Vice President and Industry Principal, Steve Soter. Steve, welcome to the New York Stock Exchange.
Thanks, Ashley. It's great to be here.
So first, before we talk about these surveys, let's lay the base layer. What does Workiva do? What problem is it solving for?
So there's two things. The first is complexity, and the second is a lack of confidence. We serve over 6,400 global customers, primarily in the areas of finance, sustainability, and audit, and risk. And what we do is bring those teams together and their data on a unified platform that allows them to cut through that complexity in the work that they're doing. It's such a dynamic environment today. But the other thing that we do is we help build confidence. The data that those teams have is spread all over the place. And I think initially there's a temptation to try to stuff that in a disconnected spreadsheet. The reality is that doesn't work. If I'm a CFO looking at that, I want to know where the data came from, who looked at it, how can I tie it back from the end report all the way back to the source? That's the problem that Workiva solves.
All right, and you recently released two surveys. The first one is the 2025 Global Practitioner Survey. It found that 88% of professionals are already seeing an ROI on using AI. Can you talk more about that and the findings?
Yeah, it tells us that people are really excited about it and they're finding value. I think the thing that was really surprising to me about that survey, though, is that of the 2,300 global practitioners that responded to the survey, 2/3 of them said they didn't have governance and security policies, they didn't have role-specific training, and they didn't have access to high-quality data. Now, Ashley, I've been a part of a number of large systems implementations. To me, that sounds like a recipe for disaster. And because the pressure to adopt AI is so strong, the issue now is how are CFOs and their executive teams closing the gaps on those three things? It could be really risky, but again, people are excited about it. They just need to address those issues.
And what are some ways, if you're running like a large organization, to integrate AI into your workflow? Are there any best practices or ideas you can share?
Yeah, I think that executive teams right now are looking at, let's say, role-specific AI versus some of the more generic off-the-shelf models. And actually, back to those three findings, one of the things that we realize is that by using generic off-the-shelf models, you actually bring up these questions about governance and security, about what data do I want to expose to it, and does my team know how to use it? The way that we're thinking about AI at Workiva, again, is role-specific. It's in a platform that they already know, they already have access to their data, and they already trust the security policies. To us, that role specificity means that they're able to get more with AI much more quickly without having to address those other questions in generic off-the-shelf models.
And you also released the 2025 Executive Benchmark Survey. Tell me about the purpose of that survey. Over 1,600 executives were polled. What did that find?
Yeah, so we just wanted to get a pulse of those executives. Interestingly, in that survey, it included over 200 institutional investors. The thing that stood out to me in that survey is that over 90% of institutional investors said that data quality was foundational for the companies that they evaluate. And it's probably not a surprise. Maybe the only surprise is why isn't it 100%? But interesting, almost a quarter of the executives in that survey said that they don't fully trust their financial data. Ashley, I was astounded by that survey. Presumably, these are executives that are certifying as to the accuracy of their numbers every single quarter. So the question is, how painful is that process for them to get to where they didn't trust it, to where they're willing to sign those certifications? To me, that's got to be a big exercise and an opportunity for a lot more efficiency.
And how, so far, in your opinion, has AI impacted the financial industry?
I was in finance for a very long time. The job is manual, the job is tedious, it's really tough. To me, I think the opportunity for AI is to be able to unleash talent, get rid of those monotonous, tedious tasks, and be able to move on to more meaningful tasks like analysis, assisting with decision-making, and driving impact. AI is a talent question, but it's not about a replacement of talent. It's about unleashing talent so you can get the most from your people. I think that's the future of AI, not just with finance, but I think across sustainability and audit and risk as well.
And what are some of the use cases for Workiva AI? How is it working? What does it do?
Yeah, so Let's start with financial reporting and sustainability. One of the hardest parts about that job is drafting disclosures. I did that for years. Sometimes it's tough even just to get started. What Workiva does is it's able to understand your data in context, assist with the drafting of those disclosures, compare it to your peers, and then also check for consistency with both accounting standards as well as sustainability standards. In sustainability particularly, it's difficult because you've got ISSB, you've got ESRS, and not to get too far down into the weeds, but you want to be sure you're writing one disclosure that's going to solve multiple reporting outcomes. When it comes to audit and risk, that's where it really gets exciting. We're automating flowchart preparation, risk assessment, testing programs, policy drafting. In fact, one company that's using AI, they're a global Fortune 100 financial services company. They've cut their internal audit timelines in more than half by using Workiva, and they're also leveraging Workiva's AI. It's remarkable.
And what does the future hold for Workiva's relationship with artificial intelligence?
So we recently released what we're calling agentic AI, and I think it's important to define exactly what that is because that dictates our strategy going forward. It can perceive in context. It can reason by applying logic to that context, and it can automate, meaning it can automate and take action on manual tasks. We see that being the future of AI, but always with a human involved. Again, it's not about replacing human talent, it's about unleashing human talent.
Steve Soter from Workiva, thank you so much for joining us at the New York Stock Exchange.
Thank you, Ashley. It was a pleasure.